Hey guys, so I am sick, I have a sore throat, but I will try my best to get through this video because I have some interesting things I want to do later this month in terms of what I want to do with this channel. So I want to get this video out of the way. But recently, video game adaptations have been a huge discussion on the internet for God knows how long. But recently, especially these past few years, have shown them in such a new light that has many people excited for the future of video game adaptations. Especially with the major success of our two examples I've brought. We will be taking a look at the elements that these movies have and deciphering what it could mean for the future of video game cinema. Now keep in mind the quality of video game adaptations have been increasing for quite a while, but the success and reputation of it overall has gone to a whole new level this year in ways that we have never seen. But don't think that means I will completely ignore adaptations like Arcane, Sonic, Edgerunners, and many others have brought to the market. The Mario movie wasn't critically received all that well, but most of the fans agreed that this was such a banger of a movie. And it was a banger of a movie, because of how it used the concepts from the game and used them in a fun and unique way. Sure, this movie suffers from lack of plot, not much character development, insane pacing, and really bad dialogue, but most Mario games don't really excel in these categories anyways, with them rather focusing on the worlds Mario explores, which is what this movie really excels in. This movie is great in terms of its fanfare and creativity. The world building is like no other in terms of how much they explored with it. They brought the worlds from all the games and expanded on them in ways they didn't need to. The way certain franchises are used in this movie are shown in such a refreshing way. The Mario Kart stuff was just absolutely stunning to look at, and the amount of stuff we got for those scenes were enough to truly fulfill my dreams and aspirations in life. They even had the ability to show regular classic Mario levels that we all know and love, with references and scenes to other games like Smash Bros. And even Mario Galaxy. The way that they grabbed the most iconic gaming soundtrack in existence and put cinematic influences added to the overall experience in such a true and special way. The amount of passion put in this movie is so easy to see, except with some of the voice acting. It was alright. Chris Pratt didn't do too much of a bad job, and most of the voices were just okay. Although I have the problem of me knowing the actors, which clash with the iconic characters who we all heard before. Jack Black and Charlie Day really fit the roles well, and I bring this up because it'll be important later. Just know that even though this movie isn't meant for a broader audience, I feel like children and fans of the Mario franchise will find something valuable from this movie due to its expansion of the game concepts and bright, colorful setting utilized to its full potential. The Last of Us finds a way to adapt the story of the game while being able to develop their own. The way they are able to expand on side characters in depth that the games were never able to do because you are stuck with the conventions of a video game. The amount the show is able to showcase is truly amazing, and it's at its best when either following the game's plot in a different context or expanding on the world in ways that the video game never got a chance to do. Every episode fully fleshes out aspects, like side characters and important plot points, while leaving out all the gameplay loops that fill in the runtime of the game. This technically takes away the necessary experience, but the show still has the ability to show that with well-paced action scenes. The show could also be watched by people who never got the chance to play the game or just don't want to because of the gameplay loop just mentioned. This exposes this wonderful game to a whole new audience very much interested in this concept. We see this success all over the place with them being able to attract a larger audience with social media and whatnot. The show also has great acting coming from the two main cast members who fit their characters perfectly. Pedro Pascal with that old gruffy attitude his character had in the game, although he's more empathetic towards Ellie in a way that the game wasn't able to fully showcase as much. Ellie is played by Bella Ramsey, who plays a snarky teenager who has tons of heart for others. She does a great job playing this character, considering she isn't an actual teenager, but the casting choices just were absolutely perfect. With the success of this series, I'm hoping other games could have the same thing happen to their stories, like with the talks of the Red Dead Redemption movie. That would go so hard if they follow the same formula as The Last of Us. What kept The Last of Us from turning into a shell of itself was the way they expanded the lore of the game. The first couple of episodes showed the progression of the spread and disease in cool, subtle ways, or even what the fungus was in ways that built necessary atmosphere for the show. If any more live-action video game adaptations use this wide formula, then they could do so much with all these different concepts and lore. Now, I bring these adaptations up because of their success, rather than being the first to do what they did, because other adaptations exist, and these two examples aren't even the first to use these formulas, but their success is just absolutely insane. The Mario movie has made so much money in the box office already, which will set in motion more video game adaptations that take games that have no right to be a movie and expand the concepts that these games bring into a format that movies can utilize. The references from Mario could be utilized in future IPs to give respect to the prior franchises. The wacky concepts from Mario could showcase how you can absolutely adapt any idea into a fun set piece for a movie if you try hard enough. There also will be the idea to bring on more celebrity voice actors, which is a double-edged sword considering it will bring more attention to these series, but can distract from those characters and take away opportunities away from smaller voice actors who may fit the role better. But that's for another video. Overall, the many great elements that Mario contains will be further expressed in future video game adaptations that don't have much to focus in terms of a plot, like with our next show. The Last of Us had brought in so many viewers to HBO to a point where they were able to compete against the Grammys and the Oscars and actually stand a chance. This will bring more interest into these well-developed single-player stories and bring more mature themes towards them. Uncharted sure could learn a few things from this series, just saying. The way adaptations can learn from the way this one takes the lore and expands on it in many ways that separates it from the original. The game's story should also be used for the most part without too much being changed, or at least changed in a way that affects the story. Seeing this tweet might make this age like milk, but I'm saying it because it's true. Don't change what doesn't need to be fixed, for consistency's sake. There's a reason why the video game did so well. Another thing that this adaptation does well is how it has perfect casting, which might push for better casting choices instead of casting bland people to play these legendary characters, like in Uncharted and unfortunately the Mario movie, but like I said, that's for another video. Overall, the future of video game adaptations seem so fruitful, as there are many things you can do with the medium of games, and although some will be affected by the lack of engagement that you get from transferring to a film medium, the way that we've seen books be adapted had similar issues regarding how they were not able to transfer as much lore, but they still found a way to input it naturally. The recent video game adaptations have showcased the huge amount of progress they have been able to make, and makes this transition seem more smooth now. So I can see a lot going for the future of video game adaptations, and even though I don't do this a lot with this channel, what game would you like to see be turned into an adaptation?